This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the US. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
Let's party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the parties go spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Whoa, oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's go fake reindeer pretend to-
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
I'm really excited to dive into this one. Now, I found out when texting you that you only watched the first season of Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating because I'm curious if you knew. I want to know how you felt about this episode, but I'm also curious if you knew how wholesome Schitt's Creek eventually became, because that
Yes.
first season is very like, God, I hate these people. They're so annoying. They're so spoiled. But like by the last season, it's like one of the most wholesome TV shows
Yes.
out there. And this is like right in that middle where you're really starting to see the change in the characters of being like good and loving towards each other again. I'm really excited to dive into this. So what was this, just like you weren't into it, or like classic Dylan, just like another thing showed up and it distracted you and then you forgot to go back?
Kind of a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I had watched this towards the tail end of lockdown. I had checked out like the first season. I think they were up to 4 at that point. Maybe 2, 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, this show is still like new, but
Yeah.
it's not.
It's been off the air since like 2021 maybe, so it's been a bit.
It's wild, but like to me, that's still new. And I hate that. I wish I could fix time in my brain. But yeah, I watched the first season. I went through some stuff, and then I never made it back to watching the rest. I didn't actively dislike it, but just not something I ever found myself going back to. And at this point, I'm like, well, I'd have to start season 1 back over, and I just haven't done that yet.
Now, watching did it spark a desire to be like, oh, this is really fun and I want to go back? Or was this just...
probably. Yes, for sure. And I'm very familiar with the show and a lot of the bits. Because Teddy was super into it, and I have friends who are super into it. So
it's one of those interesting shows where even when I was watching it this time, and I forgot about it in this way, but similar to how we talk about Letterkenny, it's almost like the dialogue isn't as funny as just the way these characters say simple things.
Yeah.
Becomes very, very funny. But it is one of those, like, I just think it's a delightful show. I was like, oh, maybe we'll do the Schitt's Creek Christmas episode. And I mentioned that to Barb, and Barb's like, that's one of the best episodes of the whole show. You have to do Merry Christmas, Johnny Rose. And I certainly cried towards the end of this. I thought that we talk about this sometimes where there are those Christmas specials that really get to the heart of what you and I consider a true blue Christmas episode, and what is like just an episode that happens to tangentially be taking place at Christmas. This is like a Christmas special. Like, this is, the whole thing is about the Christmas party and like the meaning of Christmas and the community around Christmas, and like there's definitely something to love about it. But I also think that it does this really cool thing at this point in the show. I always talk about how I love in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. We get these flashbacks where like when they first go through the breakup, he's just seeing how great his relationship was. But then over time, we see those same flashbacks for what they really were, which was like not a great relationship. And this using Christmas as a way for Johnny to see that the big extravagant Christmas parties of his past were miserable experiences for him.
And how they ended just being him alone in the living room, staring at the tree, wishing his family was there. And that's all he wanted. Now, I will say he could do a little bit of a better job
verbalizing that.
Yeah. But because I'm also with the family where I'm like, bro, it's Christmas Eve. We're going to have to try this whole party thing next year.
There's a line that is so funny. It's at the very, very end of this where Chris Elliott's character shows up and he's like, a little bit of a last second on this party. And he goes, well, I believe I'm going to be making it a yearly tradition so you can put it in your calendar for next year. And he just goes, that's far too in advance. I can't commit to that.
And I don't think I've ever identified with a character more.
Are you troubled by trying to find a great movie podcast to listen to?
Do you experience a love for monster movies from the classic Universal era to the modern creature features?
Have you or your family ever watched episodes of Elvira, Monster Vision, or Svengoolie?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Open up your podcatcher and search for the professionals. The Monster Rally Podcast.
Our hilarious and asinine hosts have an ever-growing library of episodes for you to listen to 24 hours a day to serve all your monster movie needs.
We'll talk about it.
But yeah, we get this opening dream sequence where, like we talked about last week with Silent Night, we're getting this cover of Silent Night sang by Moira and Dan.
I think that's my new measure for if it's a true Christmas-related episode or movie. Is there a cover of Silent Night?
Is there a cover of Silent Night?
It's a Christmas movie or TV show.
Bonus points if Paul Schaefer's on the piano.
Exactly. That was so funny.
But yeah, he wakes up from this dream of these parties that they used to have, and he decides we're going to throw a Christmas Eve party, and he storms into the adjacent hotel room where his children live, and Alexis
Which is
goes,
funny to me because, again, I haven't seen since the first season, and it was so funny to watch this and go, oh, they're still in the same two rooms that they've been in since the first season. All right, so things haven't gotten too much better for them.
Alexis goes, Dad, it's Christmas Eve. I don't think people want to carol in front of Mom's wig wall. And then I love the juxtaposition of this too, where he's like, no, we're going to do it. It's going to be big and it's going to be beautiful. And Moira says, look at you, Johnny Rose, seemingly possessed with the Christmas spirit. And he goes, that reminds me, I got to go find our menorah. Like, I love that
I love that kept coming up.
That it kept coming up that he's Jewish, but he fucking loves Christmas. Like, he loves it so much.
What was the David line?
It was a delightful half and half situation.
Yeah, delightful half and half situation, which is ridiculous that my dad is defending a holiday that he's not even supposed to be celebrating.
And then that's like David's job is decorations. He's supposed to get the decorations for the party. Yes. And at this point, he has opened up his store with his boyfriend, and it's doing really, really well. It's like this hot spot in Schitt's Creek. And this is where they're suggesting, you work at the store. Just give them decorations. He goes, you want me to just give stuff away that I'm selling? And that's when I'm blanking on her name now, but his female best friend that just goes, Stevie. Oh, so what time? Stevie.
It's my sister's name.
That's right. So what time is the ghost of Christmas Past supposed to visit you?
And I kind of... I don't want to.
I see both sides of it.
Like, I kind of understood David's argument.
But I also
until
see
he said what he was saving for.
Yeah, but like, also like David's argument doesn't hold a ton of weight in the sense of it is Christmas Eve. So if you still have decorations on the shelf when you close up the store tonight, like, you might be able to sell some of them at discount for the next couple days, but like whatever your like main target sales on that have already dropped, and you can just grab a little bit of stuff off the shelf at that point. Like you've already lost your sales at that point.
Very true.
Meanwhile, Alexis is on the guest list, but she is supposed to hang out with Ted and his friends. And I have to say, I love Ted. I just love how nice of a person Ted is.
Ted deserves, and I said this in this episode as well. I looked at Teddy, and Teddy has watched this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ted deserves so much better. Like, I feel so bad for him.
It's one of those things where when you get to season 6, like Ted fully changes Alexis as a person to be a better human. So it's like it's worth the ride.
Good.
But I love that. I love Ted's friends cookie competition tradition where it's like we all make cookies and we judge who made the best one, and the winner gets to take all of the other cookies to their loved ones. Like I'm like, that's such a sugary sweet, pun intended, like Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
But I do love the probably my favorite back and forth dialogue besides the that's too far in advance, I can't commit to that.
Yeah.
Is Ted is talking about how like, you know, my friends have forgiven you for all the times you abandoned me. And like, this is your big chance to like win them over again. And she goes, well, what if something came up and I wasn't able to go? And he goes, well, what if I missed chest and back day? I'd rather not know.
I was like, this is your last chance. She's like, last chance? I mean, it's your
final chance
time to this isn't working.
Yeah, it's so good. But then here's where Matt starts to get choked up early on, shockingly early on.
Yeah.
And this startled me, but because it's April 5th when we're recording this.
Yes.
It's when Johnny and Moira walk into the Christmas tree shop, and I had this moment of like, God damn it, am I ready for Christmas already?
Dude, holy fuck. I had the same reaction. And it wasn't, it was kind of during that moment, but it was really at the end when everybody is at the party and they're all singing.
Normally,
around the Christmas tree.
at this point of the year, I'm like, it's like doing this podcast is almost like punishing because I'm so not in the Christmas cozy spirit. I felt so cozy and ready for Christmas watching this.
So warm. I felt so warm. It was so nice.
It was great. And this is where he's like, oh, we're doing a special sale on the trees. And Johnny's like, oh, that's generous. He goes, sorry, I misspoke. Special in the
charging more.
Yes, special in the fact that due to supply and demand, we've raised the price. So it's 100 per gesture or 2 gestures of kindness for 175. It was so the back and forth between that is so funny. And this is where we get the most upsetting piece of information is when we find out that the Roses had gone to a couple Diddy parties.
Yes. Oh my God, that's right. Puff Daddy. Oh my God.
He's like, all those times that we went to P. Diddy's white parties, and I was like, no!
Yeah, yep.
No, Moira and Johnny, no!
Oh God.
Which I got a question for you.
The Roses?
Because Barb's kids are weirdly obsessed with this right now, and I don't know if it's just them or if it's like the Gen Alpha right now in general. Do kids just keep bringing up Diddy for no reason as if they have no, like, they clearly don't know what he did or what any of his crimes are, but they know that it's like,
I went in on a student the other day, like about that. And I said it, my students are 6th graders. They
get
should
it
know better
bit,
at this point. And I literally looked at him in front of the class because I was like, you realize that it is believed that this man molested children.
Yeah. Like this man did terrible, horrible things.
So it's not just Barb's kids.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I didn't think it was, but I was like, I'm glad to know that this is like a weird generational thing happening right now.
It's a weird generational thing of honestly, and it just feels like such a lack of, again, I know a lot of the younger groups don't understand it, but it's such a lack of empathy coming out of some of our older kids. And it's heartbreaking.
I'm like trying to think of like what my generation version of that would be to try to be like, okay, maybe it's not a generational thing and it's just like a being young and stupid thing. Yeah. But all I could come up with was like O.J. Simpson, but the jokes were never at the victims, really. It was like,
they
look
were
at
like,
this idiot
I'm gonna stab you like OJ. Like,
like
it was like
very clearly like, Oh yeah, he definitely did this.
did it.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I do love they're like trying to get into the spirit, but all of them have failed Johnny at this point. Like
Yeah.
Alexis is like, "Oh, I thought you needed me to be like
Bro,
the doorman."
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
You didn't provide me with a list.
Yeah. What do you mean? I wasn't building the list. You told me to handle the list. I thought it was going to be at the door. Well, who's going around to different Christmas parties on Christmas Eve trying to break into their party?
It's so good. But then they're like, let's just release the tree. Releasing the tree will make you feel better. And he like cuts the rope and it's just branches falling off. And I love that David, in that attempting to make it better way, just goes, well, I personally find it charming in a sort of war-torn kind of way. Like, it's just it's such a fantastic Charlie Brown moment. And then Johnny blows up about it. And he's like, you know what? I got to go to something that brings me joy. I'm going to the cafe because at least it's meatloaf night. And he storms
Moira.
out.
Oh my God.
And then Stevie's standing and she goes,
Or
I don't want him.
Stevie, yep.
Yeah, she goes, I don't want him to say anything to make it worse, but meatloaf night was yesterday.
And we get a follow-up with that of Twyla at the restaurant, and he goes, I could have swore it was Wednesdays. Nope, it's always Tuesdays. And you're like, damn.
It's always Tuesday. And then she's like, how are you doing, Mr. Rose? And he's like, I'm doing great. Why? And she's like, because you're sitting here on Christmas Eve eating a day-old meatloaf. But yes, then we get it's at this point where Johnny has the flashback and realizes how shitty his Christmas parties were because everybody was awful back then. But Moira comes, she sits with him.
And as soon as she came in, I was like, she set up a Christmas party.
She set up,
Like,
oh my God. And the crying starts when they see that hotel all lit up, and she just goes, well, it appears that there's been a Christmas miracle, Johnny. Oh my God, it fucking killed me. He walks in and it's everything he ever dreamed it would be. It's all of his loved ones.
Yeah.
We get the choir singing Silent Night. And then the perfect like button to the whole episode is Johnny giving them gifts that he got at a swap meet in town. And it was
like at the church. It was like a bazaar.
Yeah. So Moira gets an ancient tin for her to put her wake pins in.
Yeah. Which I was almost sitting there thinking, I think they might be hinting that this is an urn of some sort.
Some type. Then Alexis she goes, oh, they're tiny pictures of men. And he goes, they're stamps.
Stickers of old men.
They're stamps. And then he goes, and I know how much you love money. And he hands him a little coin purse. He goes, it appears to be 1,000 yen.
and he goes, it looks like 1,000 yen. And Johnny just goes, uh-huh.
He's so excited. He goes, I'm just taken right back to my year abroad.
In actual Japan.
This is not, I will say that I disagree with Barb as this being one of my all-time favorite episodes, but I was glad to revisit this.
I think I've seen other episodes that I prefer, even in the first season.
But this was a delight.
Yeah, this was a fun Christmas episode that I will definitely revisit.
This is one that I thought, this will go into my Christmas rotation. This should be in my Christmas rotation. Yeah. So,
I'll watch this right after TNA's Most Festive Wrestling.
Yeah, you gotta. It's a two-parter. That's how it works.
Solid double feature.
All right, well, Dylan, I love you, buddy. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas, dude.
Whoa, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holly, have a great holly, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.